as usual.
Okay.
So, welcome, Svarup, and you have been such an inspiration for so many of us in this journey to go back to yourself. And I'm sure what we see now in the primal work and in the primal field that you are holding is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm really curious how the primal started, how the method became what it is today. So what was the starting point?
The sparkle, the trigger, was in America, and there was this guy, a Russian guy, big, bulky Russian guy that lived in America that was very alternative. That we are talking late 60s and beginning of 70s. And he was in the performance alternative scene as interested, and he was a psychotherapist. And one day he saw a performance, unfortunately, I don't remember what, that inspired him. And so he went back to his clients and he experimented with making them lie down, stretch their arms out, and shout, Mama, Mama. And the sessions would last indefinitely until the person would something would shift in the person. So that was the beginning of the primal. That's the famous primal scream. It's mama, mama. And it's the core of the work in the way that it's expressing something that we could not express as babies, yeah, which was very devastating. And for many of us, created a lot of separation anxiety or a feeling of abandonment or a feeling of trying to figure out what do I need to do to be loved. That's the origin of all of that. Before we could have thought forms like this, what can I do in order to be loved? It's a contraction at the core of the heart to protect ourselves from being receptive and trusting. So it's a wound on the trust. Now, this was the beginning of the primal work, and it's the core also of the primal work. As the primal work started evolving, some people, some primal therapists brought this work to Osho, who was an enlightened master that understood that Western mind cannot just sit there, relax, close your eyes, and trust existence because we have too many issues, too many layers of conditioning. So that's why Osho brought the Western therapies to his commune. Then after that, it slowly evolved. It went through a stage which was also corresponding very well to the mindset of the population in the 70s and 80s, which was I can associate myself with that because of my age. We were the baby boom generation, which was in many ways, there was a big investment on the parents of the previous generation that had gone through the war to demonstrate that they could bring up the best, more educated, more progress aware children. So my generation, until the explosion of the hippies and the revolution, was very contained. There were lots of regulations and limitations, which we internalized a sense of duty, a sense of a fear, an unexplainable fear of survival, a sense of having to behave properly, all of that. So, primal in that way got very much adjusted to that generation, which was retaining a lot of anger. Don't do this. You should be like this. You disappoint me. You make me suffer, and so on. So, anger became very important. because it's connected to the no that a very small child can say. It's an amazing experience of empowerment. So that no needed to be expressed because otherwise that energy would stay compressed in those very well brought up people and come out in perverted forms of control, self control, guilt, um, and then on the other end of the spectrum, reaction. All attempts for this basic phenomenon of anger to be released. Because once you release what you keep inside your unconscious, the energy starts moving. It's like in physics, it's the same thing. Energy wants to transform. So if we are able and conscious enough to express, for instance, our anger in a safe context, that anger tends to become lust for life, happiness, joy, lightness, if it's expressed safely. If it's expressed like, unfortunately, it happens a lot in a reactive way, it creates another layer of problems on top. So, anyway, anger became a very important part of Primal, the famous catharsis. And to say no to what we carry inside as our dictates is liberating. But it's not the end of the road because now this generation that is coming up now doesn't look like we used to look, all compressed and full of anger. It's more a generation that is exposed to technology and a lot to disembodiment and a lot to information, which is also very beautiful. That's the progress. And yet, at the same time, it has a tendency to reinforce a sense of being a little bit out of our bodies. And that out of our bodies cannot be healed only through anger. There are deeper layers, and then we come back exactly to where Primal started of feeling abandoned, the primal scream, mama, mama. And then there are even deeper layers of feeling just exposed to too many neurological informations when being in the womb of mother. And we cannot get angry about that because it's circumstances, how we were conceived and delivered are circumstances that are very often way out of mother's reach. They are medical circumstances, cultural circumstances. So we carry that split from the body. So when we do primal now, we go step by step. We don't go to the original wound, to the primal scream. We go first through understanding what happened without particularly blaming the unconsciously responsible parents. We start investigating, we start understanding how, as children, we were looking up to the adults around us because we didn't have an adult part yet. And adults are bigger, they have louder voices, and they have that reassuring bigness that makes us trust them as children. We need them, we need direction. So when we are children, we are not yet holding a map of the world. We are just new to this world. So what we do is that we refer to what our parents spokenly and energetically tell us about the world and about feelings, about our body, all of it, as if it was the reassuring truth. But apart from the information that our parents give us, which is very often very valuable and important. It's more the tone of voice, the feelings, the unspoken history of our parents that resonates in these words. And so we absorb also their fear, their survival terror, their guilt, their frustration, all of that, not because they want to dump it on us, but because we are emotional creatures when we are children. So we absorb whatever is around, and that's the omnipotence of the child. We think that it is in our hands to solve it. So we try to distort ourselves to make us smaller, to make ourselves invisible, to make ourselves bigger, to grow up too fast, all kinds of things that we do to hopefully affect the atmosphere that surrounded us when we were children. And they become habits, like programs. So in the beginning of a primal group, we really investigate all of this, give voice and memory to all what we have internalized, and at the same time, discover the adult part in us, because meanwhile we grew up. But often, when life reminds us of our past wounds, we regress and we forget that there is an adult part that can hold the space and feel compassionate, first of all, to the child part in us that still reacts, and eventually also towards the parents that gave us life, did what they could do, and are also, like us, on a self discovery journey in their own time and their own way. So that's primal
In a nutshell.
in a nutshell.